It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
5 is the magic number on tonight's show. We made it. It's day 5 of the lockdown. Welcome to it. This is ZiFM Sport on a Friday, Fire Friday, the lockdown edition. From their homes, you will hear from 5 sportscasters: Barry Manandi, Mike Madoda, Mark Poz, Chris, and Alois Munjira. I'm the producer. My name is Sean Tafirenyika. I hope you're staying at home and keeping safe as we fight together against the spread of the coronavirus. Fantastic show we've got lined up tonight. The Z team will be picking their, wait for it, 5-a-side legendary national football teams. See why I was plugging in the number 5 so much. In fact, you can get in on the action. What's your 5-a-side legendary national football team? Which country would you choose? Which players would you put in? The handle is at ZiFM Sport on Facebook and Twitter. We'll also keep you updated with what's happening in the world of sport with our local news roundup around the world in 60 and also updates from the beautiful game. In fact, let's start with the local sports news roundup with Barry. He'll give us some boxing, netball and swimming news.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Our local sports news roundup starts with boxing news, where Zimbabwe's boxing superstar Charles Manucci says he remains focused ahead of his World Boxing Federation middleweight championship title defense bout against Ugandan Mohamed Sebiala later this year. The World Boxing Federation middleweight champion Charles Manucci is doing everything by the textbook as he eyes retaining his title when he takes on acclaimed Ugandan boxer Sebiala. Speaking from his base in Kivu, the country's boxing sensation, nicknamed the Busy Bee, said he is not deterred by the current COVID-19 pandemic and is taking every step possible to ensure he is well conditioned for the bout. On to netball news, where the Rainbow Amateur Netball League is considering playing their games in a tournament format to determine the winner of the 2020 league. Should the COVID-19 pandemic continue until mid-year, the Rainbow Amateur Netball League is looking for an alternative plan to conclude its league, and Secretary General Moses Gukurume confirmed the development, saying they are already looking at options. We wrap it up with swimming news, where Wilaya City Council will engage private contractors to work on, quote, major repairs at the city and North End swimming pools. According to the latest council minutes, the local authority, which runs 6 pools, that's the city, North End Pool, Barham Green, Luveve, Barber Fields and Pompoma pools, revealed that it will flight a tender for a contractor to repair the pools. Outstanding major repairs to be put to tender for the city pool include replacement of tiles, paving, fitting of gutters and refurbishment of the baby pool. The contractor will also be expected to do waterproofing for the changing rooms at both City Pool and the North End Pool. That's your local sports news roundup.
Hi, I'm Clemens Matau, chicken in midfielder. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
You know, with no rules, no VAR, the 5-a-side version of football is pure action and skill. The team selection is so important because there are so many factors to consider. I mean, it's a constricted space compared to your standard football pitch, so you will be exposed if you're average. You have to be a world beater to make a 5-a-side team. So, bearing that in mind, let's kick off our selection on the continent since charity begins here at home. We'll start in Zimbabwe. The country has had so many talented footballers. So where does one even go? Where do you even begin when it comes to selecting a team, Alois?
Yeah, this is a tricky one, guys, to be honest. This is actually a tricky one. But I had to search around. I had to write a list, erase players, put some more erase and all that, but I had to come up with my final 5, and this is without any bias, without anything, but just ability according to five-a-side football. So these are my 5: Mzondo Mgadza, Erobe Dina, Norman Mapeza, Lloyd Chitembwe, Vitalis Takawira, and Peter Ndlovu. So obviously people will want to know why I've picked these 5. You know, according to their positions. I will start with the goalkeeper. Mzondo Mgadza, I think he is the best when it comes to keeper mkati. You know, a goalkeeper that can actually play both inside and outside. Mzondo Mgadza can actually be a striker, he can be a defender, he can be a midfielder, and he can be a very, very good goalkeeper as well. Short stopping is the name I should use, that he is a very good short stopper as well. So he is versatile, he is very talented, you know. So I pick Mzondo Mgadza for that position, because when you're playing five-a-side, you want a goalkeeper that can actually add numbers, go forward to help in the attack, go forward to help in the defense, in the midfield, to just add numbers inside, and then at the same time be able to come back and be a short stopper and be a goalkeeper. So Mzondo Mgadza for me is the best in that regard. Then as a defender, I wanted defenders that are mobile, very mobile, but very, very versatile, and they've got tenacity, you know. So when I look at that, toughest stick defender, Erobe Dina, he fits that bill because he is very strong. He was, you know, he is strong in the tackle, technically gifted, and we know that he can also go forward, back and forth. He has got the endurance to do that. Five-a-side, you want players that are never stopping, that are always running. So Erobe Dina, he fits that one. And then we have got Norman Mapeza. Technically, he's one of the best ever players, you know, technically gifted. And I think that, you know, he is the most, the most utility player, the most versatile player that I've ever seen. You know, he started playing as an attacking midfielder when he was at RMT. Then he was drafted into as a defensive midfielder. And for the national team, he played as a defensive midfielder, he played as a right back, he played as a centre back as well. So he is actually perfect for that position, so that he can actually play that role of going forward and also coming back to mark. And he can pack a shot. You know, when you play five-a-side as well, you want those players that can actually hit a shot with pinpoint accuracy. And Norman Mapeza has got a powerful shot, and technically he's gifted, and he can hit a pinpointed shot. So I'll pick Norman Mapeza for that. Then in midfield, I'll have one player. You know, this player has to be a grafter, a player that has got endurance, who is always working hard up and down, and also hard in the tackle. And the bonus should also be, the player should actually be technically gifted, and who better to place in that position than Lloyd Chitembwe. You know, Lloyd Chitembwe is highly technical. You know, he is very hard, he can pack a shot, he is also pinpoint passing and all that. So I will have to have Lloyd Chitembwe there, because he is also very, very much power. You know, so for five-a-side, he is very, very perfect for that position. I'll have Lloyd Chitembwe in midfield. Then for my 2 strikers, you want players to be nippy. You know, when you play five-a-side, it's a very closed space, and you want players that are skillful and quick, and that have got high technique. And then Peter Ndlovu is so quick, he can dribble 4 or 5 players in a very small place. So he can do the job, and he can actually unlock the defense and score goals for my team. So I'll pick Peter Ndlovu as well. Then in the same regard as well, I'll pick Vitalis Takawira, because he is super quick. He can dribble in the tightest of places. So I'll have him. You know, I'll have him in my team, and he is also super quick. He is not that striker that just stays. You know, you don't want a target man. You know, when you're playing a five-a-side, you don't want a target man. You want a striker that can actually move up and down, left and right. You know, play both sides. So Vitalis uses left, he uses right. Peter Ndlovu uses left, he uses right. So they are my perfect partnership up front for me. So that is my team. My team is very mobile, very skillful, and it has got grafters, and it has got a goalkeeper that can play inside and outside. And I think this team for Zimbabwe is going to be unbeatable if we are going to have a tournament of that sort. Unfortunately, and they are retired. But if at their prime we were supposed to choose a team, five-a-side legendary Zimbabwean team, that would be my team for the five-a-side Zimbabwean team. But I haven't forgotten about me. I'll be right there as a substitute, because I can also do a job just like Vitalis and Peter.
Z.
That's a really strong team from Alois. My only issue is that maybe there isn't enough youth, blending in with the experience. I mean, I would have loved to see maybe a little bit of Kama Billiard and Knowledge Musona in that team. But hey, it's a pretty solid team nonetheless. While we're still on the continent, let's go to Cameroon, the indomitable Lions. Now, they are Africa's most successful footballing nation on the international stage, having played in a record 7 World Cups and being the first African country to reach the quarterfinals of a World Cup. That was in 1990. They almost made it to the final, but they were knocked out by England in extra time. It was a painful loss. And you know that they've won the Africa Cup of Nations 5 times. So, Mike, how was it coming up with the 5-a-side team for Cameroon?
Well, selecting an all-time great 11-a-side team is very, very difficult, and a 5-a-side team doubly so. I mean, it's a very, very difficult task. Just taking a look at teams, how they've performed even at international level, across generations. So I'm going to be basing my selections mainly on the players that I have watched play, players that I have been exposed to, both at club and more so at international level whenever they've put on the green and red of Cameroon. Cameroon wears one of the most iconic, easily recognizable strips in world football, the yellow socks, the red shorts, and the green jersey. Who can forget the time that they wore vests at the Africa Cup of Nations? That was ingenuity and creativity from Cameroon, the indomitable Lions, the team that really thrust African football onto the global map, onto the global stage, bursting through at Italia 90. And so when I take a look at Cameroon's fortunes as arguably the most successful team from Africa in terms of an international side, because I'm just marrying what they've done at World Cups, the amount of times they've qualified for the global showcase, and what they've also done at continental level in terms of winning the Africa Cup of Nations. I think only Egypt stands ahead of them in that queue. So they're a fantastic side. So for them to have achieved as much as they have, they've had so many phenomenal players. So it's been a very difficult task for me. But let me start with the goalkeeper, okay? For the 5-a-side team, you have to consider a keeper who's good with the ball at his feet, a good shot stopper, and a very good distributor. Cameroon has produced some really good goalkeepers over the years. You take a look at Jacques Songo from a previous generation, Joseph Antoine Bal. He came to these shows with that great Cameroon side that was defeated by our Warriors 1-0 at the National Sports Stadium, and then of course pipped Zimbabwe to that ticket to US 94 with a 3-1 victory out in Yaoundé. But for me, the man who gets the nod ahead of Jacques Songo and Joseph Antoine Bal is Carlos Kameni. Carlos Kameni has been an outstanding goalkeeper, a little underappreciated in European circles, but he has been a consistent presence in Spanish football. Fantastic goalkeeper, long-time servant of Espanyol, moved from Espanyol, went to Mayaga, went from Mayaga over to Fenerbahce, and at those 3 clubs which really perform at the very top in European football, he was commanding a regular first-team jersey. He's a big fella, very good shot stopper, always stopped everything that came before him, and he was also part of the team, that dominated African football from the year 2000 to 2010, alongside the likes of Samuel Eto'o, Jeremy Njitap, the likes of Lauren as well. So for me, he gets the nod in between the sticks. My defender, you know what, this one is very difficult. Rigobert Song came to mind, long-time captain during the glory years for Cameroon, but I opted to go for his defensive partner, Raymond Kala, the man that they called the gentle giant. What a wonderful player he was. He reminded me a little of our own Tulani Move in terms of that calm on the ball, that solidity in defense, a good organizer. He allowed Rigobert Song to be the scrapper. So Rigobert Song was the marker, and then Raymond Kala was the organizer. He read the game a lot better than Rigobert Song. Majestic in the air, very fine touch on him, good distributor, allowed Cameroon to build from the back. So I pick Raymond Kala ahead of Rigobert Song. My midfield would certainly consist of Jeremy Njitap. Jeremy Njitap, for me, a high achiever, played at the highest level for some top clubs. This guy played for Real Madrid, played for Chelsea, and always at the top level. Won a gold medal with Cameroon at the Olympics. Was also part of the glory years, and a really astute performer. Good dead ball exponent, could pass it, left foot, right foot, versatile player, could play as a wing back, could play in midfield as a holding midfielder. So I bring him into this Cameroon side to play in midfield. For me, he makes my five-a-side team. So I will go with two attackers instead of two midfielders, and my two attackers are two of arguably the best strikers we have seen on the continent. The first one being the legendary Roger Milla. Roger Milla, I mean, he became a household name at the tender age of 38. 38 years old, Italia 90. Who can forget the iconic sight of Roger Milla scoring goals, running to the flag post in the corner, running around it, and then doing a little dance. That dance captured the imagination of not just Africa, but of the whole world, and it inspired a generation of African footballers who believed that they too had the skill, the ability to go and do what Roger Milla had done in Italy. He was one of the top scorers in the tournament, scoring 4 goals. As Cameroon went all the way to the quarterfinals, and of course suffered a controversial loss to England in that quarterfinal. They could have made it all the way to the semi-finals. They were a very good team. Remember, they beat Argentina, the defending world champions, in the opening game of Italia 90, courtesy of that towering header, that was scored by Francois Omam, as Cameroon beat Diego Maradona and his world champion Argentina side 1-0 in the opening match of Italia 90. So Roger Milla, for me, he certainly takes one of the attacking spots. And next to him, for me, arguably the greatest African footballer we have seen, certainly of this generation, Samuel Eto'o. You take a look at his achievements at club level. He's played for the top clubs. He went to Real Madrid when he was 16 years old. They didn't believe in him, sent him out to Mallorca. He lit La Liga up. Barcelona snapped him up, and he was absolutely fantastic. Won the treble with Barcelona under Pep Guardiola, moved to Inter Milan, won the treble as well under Jose Mourinho the following season. So he's a decorated player. He has bagged lots of goals for Cameroon, fantastic achievements, won the gold medal with Cameroon at the Olympics, won several African Cup of Nations for Cameroon, and he was always the topic of conversation as the top goal scorer, as one of the real big characters whenever AFCON came around, and of course one of the most respected players in world football. So he wasn't just an African star, Samuel Eto'o. He was a global star. Went on to do the business as well with Chelsea. So he's a proven winner, even when he went, of course, to the likes of Angie Makashkala, and then later on wound up his career in Turkey. Even played for Everton, at a brief stint at Everton as well in the English Premier League. Always a performer, Samuel Eto'o. For me, one of the most decorated players in African football, and of course he makes my five-a-side. So there's some players that have been unlucky to miss out. Midfielders like Cyril Makanaki. I went for Jeremy Njitap, but he was certainly a good striker. Jean-Claude Pagal as well, another player that could have been putting his hand up in attack. Francois Omambeik, another player putting his hand up in attack. Rigobert Song, I talked about him as a defender, but in the end I had to choose 5, and my 5 players for Cameroon are Carlos Kameni in goal. My defender is Raymond Kalla, the gentle giant. In midfield, Jeremy Njitap. And in attack, 2 iconic players, Samuel Eto'o and Roger Milla.
Solid picks from Mike, but I have one player I think deserved consideration. The size 12 boot striker, Patrick Mboma. Renowned for scoring goals from distance with his powerful left foot. And who can forget that acrobatic overhead kick that he dispatched past goalkeeper Fabien Barthez in the 1998 World Cup. Good times. Maybe he deserves a spot on the bench, just maybe. All right, let's take a bit of a break, and then we head to South America.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda. You can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z Team on ZiFM Sport.
South America, Brazil. Now, Brazil has produced a host of legends, perhaps more than any other nation. From their catchy names, Ana Ronaldinho, Firmino, Fabinho, Coutinho, and they've got that captivating style of play. Now, these players are heroes the world over, and their success has been experienced by so many. So, when you're compiling a five-a-side team, what do you even consider? What's your first port of call in selection, Barry?
I think the first port of call has got to be the approach that I'm taking to doing this. I think that my team is going to have balance. I want to look for balance. In other words, being able to defend and also attack in equal measure. But the team is going to have a bias towards attacking and also entertainment. I think that every team, whether it's 5-a-side, 11-a-side, 7-a-side, has got to have the ability to entertain the fans. So I believe the team that I'm about to announce now has got that ability. Now, the team comes out of Brazil. It's an all-time 5-a-side, so living or dead, those who have donned the gold of Brazil are eligible to jump into this team. So in goal, I had the option of possibly picking Claudio Taffarel. Those who've been watching Brazil for a long time will know him. Fantastic goalkeeper of days gone by. Another option was Dida, but I think Dida, yes, great shot stopper and very cool, calming influence at the back, but for me, not good enough with the ball at his feet. Therefore, it came up to a toss-up between two goalkeepers, whether Edison, who's at Manchester City at the moment, of course we know he's a fantastic goalkeeper, but his contemporary Alisson Becker is easily the best keeper in the world. He's great with the ball at his feet. He's a great shot stopper as well. His distribution is immaculate. We saw it and see it week in, week out for Liverpool, where he has the speed of thought to be able to just roll the ball out short or play it long as and when it is required. And also that quick thinking is going to be very necessary in the small-sided game of 5-a-side. So for me, in goal for Brazil will be Alisson Becker. And then you need somebody in defense who's going to be able to destroy but also have something else, be able to offer something else, something going forward. In other words, be able to pick a pass, short and long, and be able to also be a goal threat, to be able to shoot from distance. Because remember, in 5-a-side, you can shoot from literally anywhere on the court. So in that regard, I've picked Roberto Carlos. Roberto Carlos, of course, that age-old, fantastic left-back of Brazil's, who entertained us both at Real Madrid and also when he put on the gold of the Seleção. He's got speed. I believe he had defensive ability, and also his strength on the ball are going to be an asset to my 5-a-side team. But most of all, the asset I really love about Roberto Carlos is the fact that he's got power. That power, being able to shoot and rifle that ball literally from his own half, possibly even within a few meters of his own goal, is going to be an asset to my 5-a-side team. I could have obviously picked Cafu. You'll remember him from days gone by, a fullback, able to bomb back and forth. He defied age. My goodness, he played like he was 17 from when he was 17 right until his last days in football. Or I could have picked Captain Dunga for his leadership and his ability on the ball as well. But I've gone with Roberto Carlos for the very reason that I said I'm looking for in my 5-a-side team. You see already, my 5-a-side team is looking formidable, and I've just announced 2 players only. Right, let's jump into what would be the middle of the park, those who are going to pull the strings for the 5-a-side team. I'm thinking now, who do I go for in terms of an artist in the middle of the field? Someone who can be a calming influence, be able to mark high up the field, also having won the ball, be able to use it artfully. And for me, Ricardo Kaká, the player known as Kaká, simply as Kaká, who played for AC Milan for many years and also for the Seleção of Brazil. He goes into and slots easily into the right side of midfield because of his ability on the ball. You remember he's a Ballon d'Or winner, absolute team player, he's a goal threat as well, so he can tuck it in. And then most important asset that is going to serve the team well is the fact that he's a good passer of the ball. That means that everyone is going to be able to play as if Kaka allows us to play. The options I could have picked, maybe Socrates, of course, in that great Brazil team that had Pele on the side. Zico, possibly another fantastic Brazil player, and then obviously Juninho, the tiny man who played and turned out for Middlesbrough, another choice as well. But I think I've gone with Kaka, and I think that's the right choice to go with. My goodness, what a team, you've got to admit. And then I'm going to slot in, and he absolutely picks himself. That's if we can get him out of a Paraguayan prison, Ronaldinho. And that's because he's an X-factor player. He's able to do things that most players are unable to do. He can see a pass that nobody else can. He can do something when you think he wants to do the other thing. So you need an X-factor player in any five-a-side team, and that player who can bring something out of nothing can mean the difference between drawing 4-4 or winning 5-4 in a five-a-side game. He's a goal threat, of course, and then he makes up by his sheer ability for his lack of work ethic. Yes, I know there'll be an argument to say, he doesn't mark and he doesn't do enough for the team. But believe me, when he's on the ball, I believe that he does enough. Of course, he's going to cost us a little bit more because we might have to pay the Paraguayan prison officials to let him out for a few hours so he can play on our team. If we can't get Ronaldinho out of prison, the other options were, of course, Bebeto, who played for Brazil many years alongside Romario, making that fantastic tie-up up front, and I think Bebeto would be a good option. Neymar Jr., all of our contemporary listeners will know Neymar, of course, turns up with Paris Saint-Germain, and currently one of the major assets for the Seleção. And then Robinho would have been another option as well. He's a player who I rate highly, but his career never quite took off. But his ability on the day when he is on, any team would regard him as an asset. So that's the 4 of the 5. Who then wraps it up? I bet you're thinking to yourself, you don't have a striker in there, you don't have someone to tuck it away. Well, here's the player who's going to do the business for us. It's going to be Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo, not Cristiano, the Ronaldo of Ronaldos. This is probably the best finisher I've seen in the game of football. This man can tuck it away with both feet, left and right, and also very intelligent. Knows when to lay off and allow others into the game, and then also knows when to tuck it away into the back of the net. The other option, is massive, because the option I could have put there would have been Pele, easily one of the greatest goal scorers and players of any generation, greatest of all time, some would say. But for me, I've chosen Ronaldo because of the balance that we're seeking in our five-a-side team. So that's our five-a-side team. In goal, Alisson Becker. In defense, Roberto Carlos. In midfield, Kaka and Ronaldinho line up at either side of the diamond, and then the arrowhead becomes Ronaldo. I defy the rest of the ZiFM Sports team to find a team with more balance, with an attacking threat and flair, and with more ability to entertain. Yeah, that settles it. My team wins. Barry, for the win.
Now, there are 2 players I feel could have challenged some of the players in their team. Like, for example, I think Romario could have challenged Kaka. I mean, he was known for his goal scoring, mastered it like an art. I know that there are question marks over his 1,000 goals, but there's no disputing the striker's brilliance. Romario's finest hour came, remember, that 1994 World Cup when he scored 5 goals during Brazil's triumphant campaign in the United States. And then for Ronaldinho, maybe I'll put in Zico. Zico, by his own right, was also a free kick specialist. He's another all-time great, but he never managed to lift the World Cup, though. So obviously, when Ronaldinho will pip him, but I feel Zico and Romario are certainly worth the consideration. Now, coming up is Around the World in 60. We're going to find out the latest news in international sport. And after that, it's our musical interlude with the Power Play on a Friday. Fire Friday. You're tuned into ZiFM Stereo, my station, your station. This is day 5 of the lockdown edition of ZiFM Sport. Tonight, we are picking a 5-a-side legendary national team. which country have you gone for? Who's in your team? The handle is at ZiFM Sport on Facebook and Twitter. Do let us know. Let's go on to Europe now. And we'll start in England. I mean, we all have a soft spot for England because of our affinity with the Premier League. They may not be the most successful footballing nation of all time, but they've produced many memorable players throughout the years. In the history of the English national football team, there have been many highs and many lows, but in between all of that, some greats have donned the Three Lions colours. So pause. How do you win at five-a-side with an England national team?
Let me get the two easy answers out of the way. Have the better team, a team full of faster, stronger, more skillful, more athletic and fitter players who are just generally better at the game. And number two, score more goals than you concede. So, my best England five-a-side team comprises Peter Shilton, Bobby Moore, David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Gary Lineker. So let's go from the top. Peter Shilton, obviously in goal. He won 125 caps for England. England's most capped player who retired after the semi-final defeat in 1990. Some of you may remember him. Didn't make his World Cup debut until only the age of 32, but has played more games in the finals than anyone else for England. In fact, 17 times. His 125 caps for England, for me, says it all. He was Mr. Reliable between the sticks and was a fine athlete at the same time. He kept the likes of Ray Clemence out of the England team during the 80s, early 70s, going through to 1990. That's how long he played for England. Then I would go to my defender, which is Bobby Moore. He's an icon. Was England's youngest captain at the age of 22 and went on to lead the team on 90 occasions, a record shared with just Billy Wright. He lifted the World Cup for England at Wembley back in 1966. His leadership qualities and sheer desire made him the best player England have ever produced, for me, that is. So Bobby Moore would also be my captain of this five-a-side team. Then it gets a little bit difficult, but I've gone, as I said, with David Beckham. Went from the ignominy of being sent off in France in 1998 to carrying England to the next World Cup virtually single-handedly. He scored in 3 World Cups, the first Englishman to do so. Captain on 59 occasions, which puts him 4th on the overall list. His passing was 2010. Top 10 or even top 5 as the greatest passers ever. That one attribute alone puts him in a different league. He lacked pace and fancy tricks, but would be in my team any day, would be David Beckham. Then Steven Gerrard, missed the 2002 World Cup through injury, but still England's 4th most capped player. Didn't lose in his first 21 games, scored at 2 World Cups and Euros. His technical ability, his physicality, and his ability to deliver when it mattered most, for me, just makes him penciled into any team that you ask me to put him into. He has so many qualities, technically, physically, being able to deliver special moments. He was a very influential player who would walk into any team, I would think, any Premier League team or any national team as well. Then we get to my striker choice, Gary Lineker. Now, some will know Gary Lineker, especially the younger footballing fans nowadays would know Gary Lineker, who's renowned for his hosting of Match of the Day every Saturday night in the UK, and of course the crisp adverts. But to those of the older generation, he also represents striking excellence. Played for England between 1984 and 1992. He was the Golden Boot winner at the 1986 World Cup in Mexico, where he scored a hat-trick against Poland and scored 4 more in Italy 4 years later. His World Cup tally of 10 goals is only bettered by 7 players in history. He ended his career 1 goal shy of Bobby Charlton's record and is now 3rd on the nation's all-time scoring list, the oldest player, in fact, to score a hat-trick for England. Lineker was a striker who veered from who veered far from convention. He wasn't particularly physical, and his shots weren't laced with power. Instead, he relied upon his technical and mental characteristics to find the net. Often found lingering on the shoulder of the last man, his positional sense and concentration were second to none. As a result, he was able to find space in even the tightest of penalty boxes, getting on the end of crosses to bag numerous tap-ins. His job may have seemed easy, but that's only because he made it look a really, really top striker. And I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to quickly just throw in a substitute here. That would be John Barnes. Maybe never reached the heights of his club career with Liverpool, but still a key player for a decade and scored one of the greatest individual goals in Brazil back in 1984. Played up front alongside Gary Lineker at times. His skill with the ball is still hard to emulate from other players that have donned the England shirt.
John Barnes on the bench, instead David Beckham, and then you've also got Steven Gerrard up in there. I think for me a major omission though is Sir Bobby Charlton. I mean, he was part of that golden generation that won the 1966 World Cup. And if I throw in Bobby Charlton, I gotta mention George Best. I mean, the papers at the time described him as sheer glamour, the man every woman wanted and every man wanted to be. He'd have given David Beckham a run for his money in the star quality stakes. And other players worth a mention, I mean, Alan Shearer, Wayne Rooney, Frank Lampard, those are also worth consideration. Let's go to Germany now. Diamond Shaft. Personally, I'm a fan. This is my favorite international football team after the Warriors, of course. Now, when you think Germany, you associate them with industry and efficiency. And what I like about them is that also translates to their football. They're efficient and progressive. Now, with some of the most decorated players in the history of football, Germany has produced legends. Here's Chris with the 5-a-side for Germany.
German 5-a-side team. Woo! Let me know what you think of this team on our Twitter and Facebook at ZiFM Sport. So in goal, we have Oliver Kahn. In defense, Franz Beckenbauer. The next player in this German 5-a-side team is Lothar Matthäus. Now, he's a midfielder, but he can also play as a defender. Jürgen Klinsmann as a striker and Bastian Schweinsteiger as a midfielder. So, starting from the top, Oliver Kahn. Now, he's one of the most iconic players of his generation. Brilliant, brazen, belligerent legend. And he experienced both triumph and heartbreak during his 20-year career. He was named World Goalkeeper of the Year on 3 occasions. That was 1999, 2001, and 2002. And he was one of 5 players to have lifted the Bundesliga Meisterschale 8 times, and he's supposed to also become the future CEO of Bayern Munich. Internationally, Oliver Kahn will forever be remembered as one of the greatest goalkeepers in German history. He received 86 caps, 49 of which he was captain, and he was an absolutely vital figure within that team. Following the 2002 FIFA World Cup, which is arguably the pinnacle of his individual international career, the FIFA Technical Study Group awarded him with the Lev Yashin Award for the best goalkeeper of the tournament, and he became the first goalkeeper in history to win the Golden Ball for the best individual performance. He also became the first German goalkeeper to keep 5 clean sheets in a World Cup tournament, and Kahn maintained his number 1 spot for the 2004 UEFA European Football Championship. Defender now, Franz Beckenbauer. Now, he mastered that sweeper position and he made it his own, and he's gone down in German folklore. Now, finishing 2nd and 3rd in World Cups, that was 1996 and 1970. He finally got his hands on the trophy at his 3rd attempt, and that was in 1974. They called him the Kaiser, which means the Emperor, and he won the World Cup for the 2nd time at Italia 90. Now, he's not your typical defender by trade during this era. He was tactically aware, and he had an eye for a pass. Now, when in possession, the German could push into midfield and could create an extra man, and his tactical awareness makes Beckenbauer one of the best defenders in football history. Like most Germans, he played most of his career at one club, that was Bayern Munich, winning the Bundesliga on 4 occasions, as well as the European Cup on 3. The next player in this German five-a-side team is Lothar Matthäus. Now, he's a midfielder, but he can also play as a defender. He had 150 caps for Germany, and he's the current record appearance maker that's seen him win Euro 1980 and World Cup 1990, also coming runners-up at both World Cups in 1982 and 1986. He's a dynamic midfielder by trade, and he got over his nemesis Diego Maradona as Germany defeated Argentina at the World Cup 1990, scoring 4 goals in that competition. His leadership is one that can certainly be admired. And not only did he have success at international level, Matthäus clinched 7 league titles with Bayern Munich during 2 spells, that was between 1984 and 1988, and also 1992 to 2000, as well as Serie A and UEFA Cup title with Inter Milan. The striker for this team, Jürgen Klinsmann, he played in 6 major tournaments between Euro 1988 and France 1998. Jürgen Klinsmann scored at least 1 goal during each tournament, scoring 3 or more goals in 4 of them. And that basically makes him one of the most efficient forwards in recent history. At his peak, he was playing alongside Inter Milan teammates Lothar Matthäus, Andreas Brehme, and also helping the Italian side to the 1991 UEFA Cup and Bayern Munich to win that same European competition. That was 5 years later. Klinsmann also played in the Premier League, becoming a club favorite after scoring 29 goals in 56 games. And he played for Germany between 1980 and 1998, scoring 40 goals in 82 games and basically cementing himself in German football history, while he also came 3rd in the FIFA World Player of the Year in 1995. Now, the 5th player making up this team, Bastian Schweinsteiger, a midfielder, and he's one of the most iconic football players in German history. And that was after, I think, his 2014 World Cup performance against Argentina that saw Germany win their first title since Italian 90. Now, originally, he was actually a wide player, but his best football came when he was playing as a central midfielder. Now, coming through the youth team at Bayern Munich, the German played his first team football for the Bavarians for 13 years, and he was regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world during his spell there. He's able to keep the ball ticking over, and Schweinsteiger has a ferocious shot, while his vision to pick that killer pass is a trait that only a minority of footballers possess. With 8 Bundesliga titles to his name, the German is one of the most decorated footballers in history, and he makes up the final player in the German five-a-side team.
Z.
And now that's what I call a powerful team. Franz Beckenbauer, Der Kaiser, the Emperor. I'm obsessed with those World Cup films that show Germany winning all types of World Cups. Other players worth a mention, maybe the now CEO of Bayern Munich, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. He was a prolific forward during his time with an eye for goal. And then there are also predators like Miroslav Klose. What a player. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for on ZiFM Sport. Let's meet again on Monday. Let's keep the interaction going on Facebook and Twitter. I want to find out what your five-a-side national football team is. But we'll be back on Monday. But remember, take care of yourself and stay safe.